What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. In this one, I'll break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'll break down what's happening with the economic calendar thus far, what's happening with the options chain for SPY, and some very important pieces of news that are going to affect the market as we continue. But before I break anything down, all this information, before I give you guys my pre-market prediction, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 6 free stocks. If you deposit $500 into the account, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. And putting in $25,000 or more guarantees you 70 free stocks plus 12 months of level 2 data. So, friends, in just about 3 days from now, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market. SPY is actually dropping right now, but we're actually approaching this low that we had from yesterday, and we're gapping down so far. We're going to likely gap down when we open, so we'll be watching to see if we get a bounce. Whether we bounce or not is going to depend on the data that's coming out, so I want to warn you guys about that. So what data is coming out? There's not really much coming out for today, but please note that at 9:45 a.m., we have the S&P Global Composite PMI. We have this Global Services PMI data coming out. We'll watch to see what this causes for the markets. This gives us a good gauge of how manufacturing and services are looking. And if these numbers are better than expected, this could cause the market to bounce very nicely. If they're below expectations, you have the forecast right over here. This could be a little bearish, so we'll just have to see what this causes. But there's a good chance it's going to be decent, as the previous report was better than expected. So we might see this help improve the market's performance. Now, as a reminder, I just want to remind everyone that for today, it's December 15th, Friday, SPY has, at the time I'm recording this, just over 2 million calls expiring and has over 4.8 million puts expiring with a 2.37 puts to call ratio. The majority of individuals have puts. Puts are making up the majority of the options chain. And the question is, will we see a short squeeze because of that? Are we gapping down for the market to rally to the upside again? Or is the market going to remain low like this? I'll be breaking it down in just a few minutes. Bulls just want to have fun. That is the truth. The Bulls are continuing to dominate. They had a very, very decent day yesterday. SPY did drop, but we saw the Bulls defend. On top of this, there's some news coming out that GM said that they may have to lay off, or GM's Cruise said it has to lay off 900 employees. That is very unfortunate, but these are things that you expect during days like this when these businesses have a lot more expenditures and weaker demand. On top of this, LinkedIn is shifting its plan. It's called off a project code named Blue Shift. That's going to be very important for them. And that's not the best of news. This could lead to some negativity thus far. We'll see what happens with that. There's a new chip maker in town. Intel wants to get into the AI craze. It's unveiled a new computer chip at the New York event on Thursday. It included an AI chip for generative AI software. That's great news for them. It's going to help them compete with AMD and Nvda. And that's pretty much it for now. I'm just going to go over in this video when it comes to news and such. So don't forget, guys, 9:45 a.m. Let's see what the move is for the markets. We will see if this helps the market bounce or not. Now let's talk about the charts. How are things looking? As far as SPY goes, I'm going to be watching this bottom right over here because I was anticipating that the market would kind of like come down like this yesterday. We're going to be watching to see if we could try to get back above 470. In order for us to turn bullish, we need to see a bullish break above 470 after the data comes out. If we fail to break 470, we're going to remain bearish. We're going to be looking for 468 and 467 targets, not to mention 465 below that. So far, we're coming down, but watch this wick right here. Notice how the bottom we had is just like the same as this bottom. So we could be from like a double bottom and then a bounce. So we're going to be watching to see what move comes at 9:45 a.m. I do want to note that for the past 3 to 4 weeks, SPY has been pumping on most Fridays. We're continuing to see pumps as the market has all these puts expiring. So there is a chance we might see the market bounce. But just to be safe, watch and see what the data causes, and let's see if SPY can try to break and hold 470. We're going to likely gap down when we open. We are looking kind of weak on the 4-hour time frame, so this could be a trap. So just be very careful, and we'll see how it goes from there. So that being said, when the data comes out, if we're bullish, you want to see it break 470, break out from this descending pattern we're kind of basically in. And if we do break out, watch 470 breaking into 472 to turn really bullish. If we're bearish, you want to see it maintain below 470 and start sinking back down to 468 and 467. We will see what the data causes. I was leaning in the favor of the green trend line getting a nice bounce yesterday, but we'll see if we get that bounce. I still think it's very probable that we get another squeeze for Friday since we have all these puts expiring. But just to be safe, watch and see if we can break and hold 470 for confirmation. We need to hold this, and it's getting very, very tight right now. We'll see what the data causes. For the QQQ, I was talking about this thing potentially coming back down, just like this. We're getting very close to this trend line. We're going to be watching. I know this looks kind of off right here, but it's okay. I'll try to fix this. But if we're bearish, okay, if we want to be bearish, you technically want to see the QQQ get below 402. If we lose 402 on the QQQ, watch for 400. That's going to turn us very bearish. We're still technically around 404, so it's still holding up decently. Watch this yellow trend line. See the yellow line right here? Let's see if the QQQ holds this. As long as we hold this, there's a good chance it might try to bounce. The odds do favor this thing trying to bounce and push back up towards 405 plus, even like 406. There's a good chance it's going to try to like come down and then bounce and try to push up to 405 to 406. But if we're bearish, you want to see it lose this yellow trend line, start sinking back down towards the much lower 400. So like we have 402 and then 400 below that. We'll be watching to see if this yellow trend line acts as a support and we get a nice bounce from there, or if we end up breaking down. We'll be watching that very carefully, and we'll see how it ends up going. But my guts does tell me it's going to try to respect this yellow trend line. It's been respecting it for the last, 3-4 weeks. The yellow trend line has been stuck. So I think it's more probable that we see the green line that I mapped out play out. So we might see this thing retrace a little bit more and try to bounce and hold this yellow trend line. I do favor that for the time being, but be prepared in case we end up breaking it. Hopefully that's as clear as possible. On Nvda is holding up decently thus far. The bullish case is still that we have to try to hold this range and break above 485. We might see this thing range trade and try to break out to 485 plus, depending on the data. But if we're bearish, you want to see Nvidia basically lose 480. If we lose 480, it's going to be sinking all the way down to 474. We're going to be watching to see, do we lose 480 and turn bearish, or do we end up breaking out a little bit more towards 485 to just turn more bullish? As of right now, the chart's holding up decently, so there's a good chance that Nvidia might backtest this trend line and start pushing. So there's a good chance it might try to see the green possibility play out. So we're going to be watching for this very carefully, especially going into today. We'll see how the data at 9:45 affects Nvidia, and we'll see how it tries to hold up for the time being. As far as Tesla goes, I just want to mention that Tesla is looking very flat for the time being. We have this resistance right over here. It's nice resistance around this 252 area. So we're going to be watching, do we test 248 to 250 and then bounce and try to continue to hold above 252 and push up higher? Or do we lose 247? You have this 247 area very close to this blue trend line. Do we lose 247 and then turn bearish and start breaking back down towards 242? In my opinion, I think Tesla's going to hold up for the most part. I think it could come down a little bit more. We could see it back to 248, but there's a good chance, as long as the market holds up, Tesla will try to bounce off this trend line. If we end up breaking below these lines, I will turn more bearish. If we lose 247, I turn bearish. We're going to come down to 242 eventually. What do I think is more likely? The green trend line here. See this green line I drew out? This is more probable. Tesla kind of drops back, test the yellow trend line. This is our previous resistance. And we end up just bouncing off of it, pushing back up to 252, if not 255 above that. So I think it might drop and pop, but just to be safe, let's see if we end up breaking the downside or not. But I do favor the green trend line. The greens on pretty much every chart are what I'm favoring for now. And finally, for Apple's stock, I just want to call out that Aapl looks kind of interesting. So I drew out this from yesterday. You guys can see that this is still kind of close to what's going on. I was anticipating it might drop a little bit more for the open, but it's actually holding up nicely, which is a good sign for the markets. But what is concerning is the fact that we do technically have a head and shoulders for Apple. So we'll see if this leads to a breakdown or not. So I'm going to redraw this because this is a little bit different from what I predicted would happen. If we're bearish on Apple, you want to see it lose 197 and 196. If we lose 196, there's a good chance that we're going to retrace to 194.4, just like this. And we have the head and shoulders, we have this left shoulders, we have this head, and the right shoulder forming for a sell-off all the way down. So if we lose 196, I would turn bearish, and 194.4 is coming. If we're bullish on Apple, it could backtest and grab some liquidity right here at 197. It could go a little lower and then bounce. We want to see this thing bounce like this and try to push up towards the high we saw yesterday. I'm going to be watching this resistance at 198.5. So watch resistance up here. If we break this, then we have these trend lines. We have basically the next level very close to like 200, not to mention the level above that. So if we're bullish, want to see Aapl maybe drop, grab some liquidity, then push back up, try to break above 198.5 and 199. If we're bearish, want to see it lose 197 and eventually 196. Those are two supports. If we lose this wick right here from the low from yesterday, I turn more bearish. As of right now, it's holding up decently. Might come down a little bit, and we'll see if it bounces. At this point, guys, I do favor the upside because of the options chain, but just to be safe, all this data drops at 9:45. We'll see what the move is. So just be very patient. Don't go too crazy as soon as market opens. Just wait, be patient. Okay, that's a big part of trading. Let's see what the data looks like, and then we'll see what the move is after that. So be patient, guys. Let's see what the data tells us. Let's see what the reaction is. We will see which way the market goes from there. Hopefully this video was helpful. There is definitely potential for more upside because of all the shorts. So we will see. And with that being said, have a great day. All right. So enjoy what the market has to offer for today. Have a very, very happy Friday. And I'll see you guys very, very soon for the next intraday update video of the day later on. Thank you and peace out.